Welcome to another episode of the Terrific Tips for Business. I'm Terry, your host. Why terrific tips? Because you can't spell terrific without Terry. Hey, I'm so glad that you're here with us today. I have the distinct honor and privilege of having a new friend on the show. Her name is Reesa Wolfe. And for those of you that don't know Miss Reesa, I want to introduce you because she's a pretty awesome person. She does pretty cool things. So she's been a professional speaker for over 25 years. She is a TEDx talk trainer. She's a keynote speaker. And most of all, guys, she is a speech therapist. Not just like your normal speech therapist, though. She's super creative in that she helps people who have accents speak confidently without losing their accent. It's part of their culture. It's part of who they are. So she helps them own that, have confidence in it, and still speak in a way that other people can understand them. What a beautiful skill to be able to do that. She also has a PhD in psychology. And today I am so excited to have her on the show because I know she's got some great nuggets for us to be better speakers and presenters when we're talking on a Zoom meeting, doing a keynote, giving a fireside chat even to our business community. So Reesa, thank you so much for being here.
Well, back at you, Terry. I admire you.
Thank you. So speech therapy, I know your story, but our listeners don't. What made you decide to get into helping people speak confidently with their accents?
Well, I can tell you, you can see from my age, and some of you may have heard that it was that when we went to college and we went to career counseling, they said, "Oh, I like that you're a student leader and you're one of the outstanding college student women, but are you going to be a nurse or a teacher?" Or, and all of us were speech therapy majors. It's like, well, I guess that's the best of all. There was no suggestion of going to business school and law school. So all of that you've heard is absolutely true. And the first day on the job as a speech therapist, I thought to myself, oh, I have made a very serious career mistake. What I did, though, actually positioned the rest of my life, which is I said at that moment, I'm going to find work that really matches me. I like that whole concept of self-actualization, actually being yourself. I made a commitment to that, and it's been kind of a driver of my whole career. Since I had no idea what else there was besides what I was presented with, every day off and every holiday, if I met someone at a party and they were doing some kind of work that sounded kind of interesting, I would say, may I visit you at your office? I'd like to know what you do, what you like about your work, what you don't like at work. I became an expert in informational interviewing. In fact, people started inviting me to work with them. I started getting job offers, none of which I wanted, but I would say to them, well, all the things you've said about your job, the three things that interested me were those three things. Is there any position, is there any work that does more of that? And that would lead me to the next person, to the next. I cannot tell you how many people I've met. And I did that for years, actually, because I kept my day job, but also was always looking. So what happened was I became aware of a lot of things in the workplace, a lot of pros and cons of different things. And I realized I'm so good at this career thing that maybe I'll be a career counselor for adults. And that was my first kind of side hustle. No, what do we call it now? Not side hustle, side.
Uh, Everybody calls it something different. I like to call it a side hustle. Some people call it a parallelpreneur. Everybody uses something different. Isn't that great? Yeah, that's a business coach out of Maryland. She calls it parallelpreneur. And I was like, brilliant. That's brilliant. Yeah.
And actually, when an idea, this is my first piece of advice, when an idea occurs to you, follow it. You don't have to do one thing and hope it works. Follow several things. Some will stick and some won't. But this way, you kind of start to get multiple streams of income with things that kind of interest you.
I love that. And the other thing that I love that you said, and I think you said it in just telling your story, is that you follow the intuition of what feels right for you. So you got into the first job and you're like, this really isn't it. So then you started being a seeker and started asking questions of other people who you probably at that point in time perceived as more successful than you, right?
Always. I mean, insecurity maximum, because I was kind of embarrassed. You know, it's like, oh, I did this. But as it turned out, I did start coaching adults in job search. And I would always start with, what are you interested in? What, of all the jobs you've had, what were your favorite parts consistently? And then I would say, tell your friends and colleagues and people you meet behind you at the supermarket, I'm looking at the next step in my career. I'm looking for, and then you say your 5 favorite things that you have historically found interesting or that you've heard about. And then you stop and say, what kind of job does that remind you of? Because people know of jobs that were created 6 months ago that you haven't heard of.
Yes. That's such a brilliant tip, especially right now when we're in a situation where finding jobs can be really challenging for people. People who are looking for jobs are having a hard time, and government funding is getting low. It's running out for supporting people on unemployment and that kind of thing. So the best thing is to be open and ask. I mean, all you can do is make a new friend, even behind your mask. Make a new friend and ask them if they know of something that is what you want to do. That's such a brilliant tip, Reesa. Thank you.
In other words, don't be telling them your history, and I used to work here, irrelevant. Who you are today and who you want to be are, and what you want to be and what work you want to do is to find work that more matches you. Because like Elizabeth Gilbert, who gives a lot of very, very good advice, she said, look, you got to work. And no matter what work you're going to do, you're going to eat an ugly sandwich pretty frequently. She said, and if you hate your work, then it's really unpleasant. If you like your work, it's like, well, I have to eat this ugly sandwich, but it's moving me forward. I have found that to be true. I will give you one other related piece of advice. I was friendly with this woman. She always had the most interesting jobs. And she was someone who never went to college, sharp and wonderful, enthusiastic, but she always had great jobs, like great jobs. And I remember we were having lunch one time with another friend, and this person I'm talking about, she had just gotten another fabulous job, and she said to our other friend, "Oh, did you see in the paper there was a job you might be interested in?" I said, "You just got a new job. What are you doing looking at the other jobs?" She says, "Oh, I'm always looking for my next job." That was just completely opened up my thinking about, oh, you just always are looking for the next thing, the way I always was looking for what, you know, I preferred. But just to continue on, I said to someone in a career council, by the way, I think even at that point in time, I started to finish a PhD and all that kind of thing, because I thought, gee, I have a good sense of humor. I better get me some credibility. It actually has been important. I mean, I was just interested, by the way. And if anyone is ABD, all but dissertation, text me, email me, and I'll tell you how to write your talk. But that's yet another tangent. I have a lot of areas that I've kind of figured out the way to do it. But I started to be a trainer for career. I started off with AT&T in the city I was living in. They had an internal career development program. And as soon as I got in front of adults and trained, that first night I went, oh, this is for me. I knew I wanted to train adults, and I happened to love the topic. That led to my working for the American Management Association. The AMA is the other AMA. You know?
The other AMA. There's a few AMAs in our world today.
Now I'm in the American Marketing Group. But anyway, they loved me, and they said, can you teach this? Can you teach that? Which I loved. And so it was very much that I got this wide breadth and width and height of experience. Management skills for new supervisors, I taught that for over 20 years. All the communication courses, public speaking for salespeople, and very importantly, assertiveness. And that's where the PhD came in, because now I have 2 real strong areas of specialization, and I teach people individually. One is freedom from speaking fear, because everyone who used to hide in the back of the room at meetings now is on Zoom, and they're face to face with everyone, and all the fear that had always been there has really surmounted. So people are contacting me for that. And with the doctorate and the fact that I studied with two remarkably significant figures from in the last 30 or 40 years, the father of cognitive therapy and the person who brought mindfulness to the United States. I mean, I just have been very, very lucky of being in the right place at the right time. And then when opportunity knocked, I always said yes.
Well, and not only were you lucky, I believe that we make luck. Luck is when preparation meets opportunity. We create our own luck. So what did you do leading up to that? You were a seeker. And being a seeker, you allowed yourself to be prepared. And in being a seeker, you are seeking those opportunities. So when opportunity presented itself, it wasn't luck. You were prepared for it. You knew it was coming because you've been looking for it the whole time.
Well, good point.
It's beautiful. And it's such a great tip because a lot of people don't. A lot of people will go and they'll get a job and they'll settle, right? And you said something else too. You were talking about people's overcoming their fear of speaking in public. And now that everything is on Zoom, we still see the people in the Zoom meeting that don't have their camera on. And they're having a hard time because they don't want to be on camera, because then they have to see themselves speaking. Like if they don't see themselves speaking, they're cool, they can talk, they're not very comfortable, they'll keep themselves on mute unless they're called on and absolutely have to, right? Is there a tip you can give some of our listening audience to help them kind of break through some of that? Because that's really holding them back from their next opportunity.
I'll tell you who calls me and gets help. People who say, I can talk so well one-to-one, why can't I speak to, and then whatever their number is, more than 5 people, more than 10 people, whatever their number is, or on Zoom when all these eyes are on me. I hate being the center of attention. And what that's all about is anxiety comes from thoughts.
Mm-hmm.
You would think that, oh, I'm anxious and now I'm thinking this. No, no. I swear to you, the thoughts come first. And most people are not aware of what they're thinking. It's very, very important to notice what is going on in my head.
Mm-hmm.
There are 2 voices. One is this, oh, you're not good. Look how you look. You still look like a baby. They're going to see you. You're going to mess up. You're going to lose your job. That loud torment. And then there's that quiet, intuition voice, which I'm sure your listeners know about. And that is the quiet voice that I'll go, oh, I knew I should have done that. It was that voice. So that very quiet voice. And it's important to notice, 1, what am I hearing in my head? And 2, which voice is speaking?
Yeah.
Because that loud, bad voice sometimes has information that's not up to date. It reminds me of when I was, in high school and made a mistake when I was speaking, and I was so embarrassed, and it made a rule saying, I will never speak in public again. I'm never going to be embarrassed this way. Well, in high school, yeah, you did stink as a speaker, but now you're fine, but your self-image hasn't caught up. It's very important. Here's the biggest tip: to notice your thinking and check it for validity. Is it true that I stink as a public speaker? Well, it was true, but it's not true now. That's actually the first massive part of the work, is helping people to unravel the wacko wiring in their head that is keeping them from their own success, and mostly keeping them up at night before they have to speak.
It's so true. I mean, I remember it's all about the stories we tell ourselves, right? And if we keep telling ourselves the same bad script over and over again, then it's going to hold us back. And we do have to be aware of what script are we saying. Are we empowering ourselves before we click join that Zoom meeting? Or are we disempowering ourselves and tearing ourselves down before we click join that Zoom meeting?
Right. And it's fine to say, this is a big talk, it's important, and then let me rehearse a lot. But if you have this thinking that you're not even noticing, that's saying, you are such a loser, you know how you mess up, everyone else is so much more a better speaker than you, and then if you're not noticing it, you're just being sabotaged all the time. I don't care how much you tell yourself positive affirmations, it's the wiring.
Yeah.
If you want, I can send the people listening to this like a I have a thing of, I think I call it conquer your fear, or, you know, the 7 tips of being I don't remember what it's called, but it's something that addresses this topic.
Awesome.
Just connect with me on LinkedIn. Just spell
Okay.
my name with 2 E's, Reesa, and Wolfe with 2 O's. You'll see someone who looks like this. And then just say, as you connect, hey, I heard you from Terry, or Terry's my friend too. And I'll send it to you. I'd be happy to.
Awesome. Awesome. Yeah, because I think that's going to be super helpful, especially for people who are maybe having to do job interviews via Zoom, or people who are in the business world. So a lot of our listeners are business listeners. They're worldwide. They're having to get onto these Zoom calls. They're being encouraged by marketing people all over the place to do Facebook lives and do Instagram lives. And I get people ask me all the time, do I have to? Like, I just had a conversation with a lady yesterday, and she was like, do I have to do video? Do I have to? And I told her, I said, no, you don't have to, but the reason video is important, the reason video works, is because there's motion. And when something is in motion, we stop and we look at it, right? Because that's what our eyes have been trained to do. If it's moving, what is it? Am I about to hit it? Is it something I need to pay attention to? Is it something that's going to add value to my life? I'm going to pause and I'm going to look at it at least for 30 seconds or even 3 seconds to determine, is this something that's relevant for me? Yes or no. And if it is, well, now I'm in for 30 seconds, right? And if it's still applying to me, I'm in it for a minute, right? So the longer, the more movement we can have, the better it is. That's why video works. Does everybody have to do video? No?
Well, well, you're the advisor on that. I will say, though, that be sure first to do some, if you own Zoom, or Zoom is out, pardon me, if you own a Zoom account, you can record yourself, rehearse with that on.
Yeah.
And this way you can critique yourself. Is my body language looking confident? Is the lighting good? Do I appear to be an expert? And if you really hate what you're doing, get it fixed, or start to be uncomfortable enough to try out something new.
I love that. Zoom yourself. Record Zoom yourself. They used to say before there was Zoom, practice in a mirror.
Oh, I don't like that.
I don't like that either. But record yourself on Zoom and then look at it and make those pivots, make those edits before you're in front of other people. And remember, you're your own worst critic. The people that you're talking to don't know your industry. They don't know what's on that piece of paper that you want to say. They only know what you're sharing with them.
Mm-hmm.
Only you know if you've missed a point.
Yes.
They don't know that. So there's a little, hopefully, a relief valve for some people with that, because that was one of the things that would trip me up. And if I print off what I want to say, I like clutch onto that piece of paper like it's the end of the world. It's my life raft. It's going to save me. And then I'm not me. I'm just reading. And it's not the same. So it's hard for me to write what I'm going to say first. If I write what I'm going to say first, I find myself rely too hard on what I've written and not enough on me being me.
Mm-hmm. And that is fine in this setting. And I find you a very delightful speaker. I've seen you in several different venues, but I will say that when someone is showing up for their company meeting and they know, well, I'm probably going to be asked these 3 things possibly, or maybe I know I'm going to present on, have outline notes, be prepared. You don't want to be spontaneous when the boss is looking at you or suddenly looks away or looks down. Has nothing to do with you, but our insecure, crazy self goes, well, I lost his attention. What did I say wrong? You know, all that stuff. So be prepared ahead of time. And this is a hint about watching that Zoom recording. When I watch myself on Zoom that afternoon or immediately, I see some things I like. I see some things I can improve. And in the next recording, because the first 5 are going to stink.
Yeah, they do.
I'm a keynote speaker at conventions. I train TED Talk speakers, but it's because what I found is when I was a keynote speaker, I was really good. spoke to Ford International in Dearborn, Michigan. I mean, really massive, big talks. But I realized I can make you a good speaker. And I actually like that more because it brings in, I have multiple areas of expertise. And no matter what someone is speaking about at a meeting, I have other ideas of, well, here's how to say that more diplomatically or say that sentence. So I do a lot of the writing helping, but also in the delivery. But this is what I find when I put that Zoom recording aside and watch it in a week, I like a whole lot of things more. And I think that's well too, because when you watch it in a week, it's more like watching someone else on Zoom, and you're going to be more objective.
Interesting.
In your rehearsals, one, people who speak well have notes, and they rehearse more than you can imagine. The first 5 rehearsals stink, because all humans stink when they're doing new material. Oh God, what was I going to say? Oh, all of that.
Nice.
But they keep rehearsing because they know the 8th, 10th time is going to be way better, and they want their audience to see the 11th time. People who are fearful of speaking, they do one rehearsal, they watch, they see they stink, and they go, you see, I can't do it, and they walk away. So everyone sees the second rehearsal, but they're in front of the real people.
Yeah.
And you see how it's a completely same behavior, different way of looking at it.
I think that's such a great point, because people who are not speakers look at speakers and say, oh, they're just born with it. We're not born with it. We practiced. We fell on our face a lot. I fell on my face a lot. I still do, and I still will. I will continue to do it. And that's okay. And if anybody goes back and looks at my YouTube and they look at like the early YouTube stuff from when I first started Spin Frogs, you will see how badly I fell on my face all the time, but you get more used to being on camera. You get more confident in what you're talking about. The more confidence you have in what you're talking about, the more that confidence comes through in what you're talking about. So practice. We say practice makes perfect. And in this particular case, it depends on what you're practicing.
Oh, you practice. What do you mean by that?
Because if you keep practicing the wrong thing, you're not going to get any better.
Right. It makes better. In speaking, we always make mistakes. So you have to just rehearse them, recovering from mistakes.
Rehearse recovering from mistakes.
If you watch this recording again, you'll see I'm tripping over words. I'm saying the wrong word. And all I do is I fix it and go on.
Yeah. And that's okay. It's okay, because we're human beings. And guess what, guys? Humans make mistakes. We have to give ourselves grace so that we can give other people grace.
That is a very good mantra. Many people say, I just have universal compassion for humans. People are like, my first impulse is to go, what an idiot you are. And then I say, look, this person, I just have compassion for them. But if you don't have self-compassion for how many mistakes you make all day long, or not being an expert in something that you just started doing, if you don't practice self-compassion, apparently you don't have universal compassion. The way it evolved for me was I started to catch people doing something right. This was years ago when somebody came in and I was training, and I realized, yes, I very easily catch people doing something wrong, but I never really stopped and would catch people doing something right, and most importantly, say that. I got good to do that for others, and then I got better at catching myself doing something right. Same thing with compassion for others. I remember walking up, I was in Manhattan on a business trip doing this kind of training to a corporation. I was going up in the subway and I was going, oh, no, these people. And then I stopped in the middle of the stairs and went, these also are children of the universe. And my whole orientation changed. And then I got better at seeing others and being compassionate and forgiving of other people and their mistakes and their goofiness. Then I got better at doing that for myself.
Yeah. It's an inside out job.
Well, there you go.
Yeah.
And it takes diligence, I must say.
It does. I love it because, we talk about this concept a lot. And I love that we talk about this a lot on the show because it is one of our biggest challenges as business owners is being able to acknowledge our faults, love ourselves anyway, and have that same compassion for other human beings because it's all part of the human experience. It's what being human is.
Yeah, without a doubt. And I would adjust, instead of saying I accept my faults, I would simply change the wording to what I think is more accurate. I accept my weak areas. Weak, my unconscious is hearing like, yeah, I'm weak. I can get better at that. Fault, my unconscious goes, oh, I'm just such a lousy human. I go, oh my. That's one thing I'm not actually both groups that I work for, and I still help executives plan for their big talks. That's what I did before all this happened. I would train top leaders for their big talk in Las Vegas. That's really, 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 really fun for me. But the point is that you want to be aware of your thoughts and keep feeding yourself thoughts. I know every entrepreneur I know, we have good days and bad days.
Yes.
Because that's how it is. But on a good day, here's another tip. On a good day, write yourself a letter of who you really are. And take bits and pieces of that. I often have stickies around the house that I don't wait and read. Like if I'm having a bad day, I'll read it. No. It's a daily read. It's a daily read because if that in fact is who you are, you want to kind of keep that in your mind all the time. Well, this is who I am. Then on bad days, if I happen to see the sticky, because usually on bad days, I don't remember one good thing about myself. It's just humans. We're particularly wacky. But if I already have a backlog of me remembering, well, yes, that is who I am. So it's not just reading the stickies and reading the letter to myself. It's reading it and going, taking it in. Yeah, I am that. I am that. I do have, yes, people have talked about my topic before, but not the way I present it, or not from my very specific point of view, or whatever it is that's true for you. You write on a good day who you know you are.
Yeah.
And get familiar with that. That is a big takeaway.
Own it. Own it. We have to own who we are and own the positive of who we are. I love that. That is a great takeaway. It reminds me of like the affirmations. We always talk about doing the I am statements and the affirmations in a lot of these like self-empowerment kind of workshops, right? But this is taking that to the next step. It's not just about sitting down and saying, who am I? It's about on a good day, owning that good positive thing, that good positive feeling, and then taking those and putting them around so that you see them all the time. Those are your I am statements. It's not sit down today and write 25 things that who you are. That doesn't work. You don't get to own that, right? But when you write it on a good day, I love that tip, Reesa. That's so awesome.
Oh, thank you. Yeah, the affirmations thing, pardon me, just want to add one little pearl there. The affirmations, when I first learned about affirmations, and every time I would say them out loud, my self-talk would go, no, you're not. I don't care how many times I read it. It said, no, I'm not really that. But when it's your own self noticing, it's not even making it up. When you notice, well, I do have answers that most people don't have, or I do have experience, or I have managed, or I have bounced back from things. It's looking and just writing down what you know is true for yourself. It's not like, what's 3 things I can say about myself? It's just noticing. And I can't do that on a bad day when I'm thinking, oh my God, I'll never have. Just know, every person who's an expert in anything, trust me, they have their bad days.
Oh, we all do. We all have our bad days. Yeah. So what's something that you do to help you? I mean, aside the writing yourself something positive on your good days, what's something else that you do to help you overcome some of those bad days? Because we all have those bad days.
Definitely. It works for me to have accountability partners, people that I have handpicked. I don't choose people who, if this is an entrepreneur program, I don't use 9-to-5ers. They don't have our mindset. They only know how to look at what could be they're risk averse, so they're not interested in me going, I think I'll try this. I think I'll try this. So I learned early on, don't talk to people who are not in your mindset team.
Yeah.
What I do is I might tell them after I've done something, oh, I've done this and that. Then they go, oh, okay. But I never ask their advice. I learned that from taking the advice of the wrong people for so many years. I just assumed because I was so sheltered and was a little speech therapist that everyone knew more than me. And I stopped major decisions because they said, oh, no, you shouldn't do that. Oh, really? Okay. Didn't ask for more than one opinion either. I just trusted one idiot. But anyway, that's just me. My point is that I get accountability partners that I hand pick, someone like Terry, because she's just smart and well-rounded and has her head on straight. And when we discuss what we're going to do this week for work, we also add on what could keep you from doing that? What are the things that you procrastinated about this week? What were you thinking this week? And the other person very frequently can switch it around to the positive. If I say, oh, I just thought, oh my goodness, there are too many things on my list, I can't get them done. That's one of my personal favorites of making myself crazy. And my partner might say, well, you said you wanted to do this thing this week, and you said that's what you want me to hold you accountable for. Why don't we sit here and list the steps you have to take? So I go, well, I have to call them and I have to research this. And then my accountability partner will say, well, would you agree that if you do one thing at a time and not look at the rest of the list, that you'll feel better and it's easier to get to it? And I'll go, well, yeah, I think that would work. In other words, get your accountability partner to help you work through the crazies. That's what I do for people, professionally, but all your friends do that for you. And I can do it for you, can't do it for myself. Everyone's like that. I can fix 10 people's crazy thinking before I can do mine. It's important to have an outsider, and you just switch consulting hats when you're helping each other.
Yes. And the reason that works is we're in our mess. We can't see the forest through the trees when we're in the middle of the forest.
Oh, you got it, sister.
We have to have somebody who's outside the forest in their own forest looking in at our forest and says, hey, I have binoculars. Your path is to your left. Go left. Right?
Pray that both of you are wacky on different days.
Yeah. Well, and what I have found to that point is that even if you are both in a muck on the same day, you're in a different muck.
Good point, dear. Good point.
And you're able to work each other's muck out because you're not in the same muck at the same time.
That, listeners, is your takeaway. Because the person you're speaking to, and you've never shared really what's true and what makes you crazy, as soon as you share it, they'll share theirs. And then you have a real supportive accountability partner.
Yeah. Well, and I think for an accountability partner to work too, and the reason that the network that me and Reesa are in works so well is because there has to be a clear intention and a transparency and honesty that needs to exist there. Like, you have to own what it is that you really want to do and why you want to do it before you can take the step to do it, right? And you have to be willing to be raw with your accountability partner so that they can be raw with you back and say, so Reesa, why didn't you do that?
Oh, no, I would never say that to someone. That's all I need is another parent. I would say, gosh, let's just rephrase that and say, well, it sounds like something's holding you back. What do you think was going on? And if someone says, oh, whatever bad habit they're trying to stop, I say, well, if we could magically turn out back time and you could do something different, how would you play it? And as they see themselves doing something different, the conscious mind knows you're making it up. The unconscious mind sees that you're doing it again, but in a different way. And that way you have some habit and experience that you're building. The next time that same uncomfortable thought, situation, whatever triggered you goes on, you have in your mind, you have as if I've done it before this other way.
Right.
You start to build a path of noticing it and counteracting the crazies.
It's a rewiring.
Yes, ma'am. Thank you for knowing that. The brain, the brain's all these wiggly things, and we have all these paths that are our habits. But if my habit is causing me to get caught by procrastination and fear, I need to make a new groove. And that comes from reading that list of who I am regularly, by reviewing what happened. And if I could do it over, that makes for the new groove. New grooves don't start because you thought of it one day. New grooves come because we consistently say who I am now and the way I behave now. Because it's not that, I'm a bad person. Some of my behaviors aren't so great.
Mm.
And everyone listening, you're a fine person. Some of your behaviors really help you. Some of your behaviors mess you up. So
They're holding you back.
Not making you a better person, just making your behaviors support you more. Doesn't that take away a lot of the anxiety about it?
Yes, it does. And it takes away a lot of the fear as well. Because that holds us back. So instead of saying, oh, I need to be better, or that I don't like the I need phrase anyway. I need blah, blah, blah. I need to do this. I need to do that. That just puts so much pressure on you. Isn't it better if you say I get to?
I love that. I choose, I get to. Aren't I lucky other people don't get to? Like when I wrote this book, I had the sign up that said, if it were easy, everyone would do it. I swear to you, that's what helped me to finish that book.
Yeah.
Like, oh, it's not misery. It's not terrible. I'm uncomfortable. That's actually the only thing we have to overcome is being uncomfortable.
True.
Doing new behaviors that are helpful. Yes, but they're still uncomfortable because I'm used to doing the icky behavior that is self-sabotage.
Right.
What a revelation.
And that's such a good point too, is that we can't grow, we can't inspire, we can't impact others if we stay comfortable.
Thank you, ma'am.
We have to get comfortable with being uncomfortable, know what that discomfort looks like, and instead of looking at it and saying fear, doubt, uncertainty, excited, joy, passion, can't wait. Let me see what's going to happen next. Like, I can't wait to see what's going to happen next. And it's the same. There was a psychology study, and I don't remember where it was from now, you might know, that talked about fear and anxiety is the exact same wiring system in our body as joy and excitement. It's just the language that we use to associate that feeling.
I'd like you to give me an example of that.
Yeah. So when you're about to get on stage and we have stage fright and we're super nervous, we're anxious, we're nervous, we're scared of the spotlight, we're afraid we're going to trip over our words, we have that anxiety.
Yes.
Instead of saying I'm scared, say I'm so excited.
That's good.
I'm so excited that I get to go on stage. I'm so excited that I get to share this idea. I'm so excited that I get to inspire all of these people. Now it's the same stuff. You're just not afraid anymore. You're excited about it. And instead of it being fear bringing your facial expression down, it's excitement. So it's bringing you up. It's lifting your energy up, and it's changing the association that you have with the exact same butterflies in your stomach.
I think that that's completely true. The way to notice that is most people before speaking would feel nauseous and they're shaking and they're sweating and they would go, oh, look, I'm really scared. But the same exact feelings and symptoms come from being excited, and then that's the switch. So I would say when you say, I think I need to watch TV, I think I need to eat, I think I need to drink, I think all the addictions. When you have that thought, pause for a moment and think, why am I interested right now in self-medicating? And think, oh, I see. I don't want to do this thing on my to-do list that I told my accountability partner I would do. And then switch it from, I have to do this, which is my habitual way of thinking, to your wording, I choose to do this, I get to do this.
Yeah.
Marvelous. Congratulations.
Wonderful. Yeah. Oh my goodness. Our listeners got so many amazing nuggets today about patterns of behavior, tricks that we can use on our own mindset, on the language that we're using, so that we can build up confidence in ourselves. Because when we have confidence in ourselves, We speak clearly. We speak loudly. We speak in a way that people can relate and understand what we're saying. Beautiful, Reesa. Thank you so much.
Oh, my pleasure, of course.
Yeah. What's the best way for our listening audience to get in touch with you?
I would say to go on LinkedIn.
Okay.
If you imagine a wolf eating a Reese's peanut butter cup, my mother would be so unhappy to hear that I'm giving this. But it's Reesa Wolfe. I'm pretty sure if you type it anyway, I'll show up, but it's Reesa with 2 E's, Wolf with 2 O's. My mother was clever, so I get to spell my name every day of my life. But you'll see this picture. And then just invite me to connect with you and say, we both admire Terry. And then I'll send you, as I said, I can't remember it, but it's something that is completely related to this conversation that, and as you can see, I'm pretty generous with my tips. So I'd be happy to send that to people.
I love it. And I look forward to also getting that. Thank you very much for passing that along, because I would benefit from it. And I know there are several people that I mentor and coach and operate as a accountability partner that could benefit from that information as well. So if your information is on that, that'd be good. That way I can make sure that everybody knows where it came from and it can come back to you. Because I firmly believe in what goes around comes around. So when we can give, we can get. So that's what it's all about. But I so appreciate you. Thank you for taking the time to be here with us today. I have one more question for you. If there was one thing you wish you knew when you started, what would that be?
Choose the right friends.
Ooh.
And family members. I want you to list everyone that you speak to regularly and then put 2 columns next to them. They give me energy every time I hang up, I'm more energized, or they take away energy. Every time I finish with them, I feel worse. And then only see the good ones.
I love it.
And there are people in my family that I just don't engage with. There are people that I've dropped as friends because after like the potential friends where the 3rd time on, I could see they were still whining about the same thing. We all whine, but they weren't saying, what can I do? And then doing something about it. It's really an energy thing. And I would say, be very careful who comes in your circle. If I'm watching a program, even anything on Netflix or anything else or the news, am I energized or taken? I'm very careful what comes into my sphere, and particularly in business. That was took me a long time to learn. Be careful who you share with, even if they're a partner, even if they're a family member. When they say, how's your business? You go, I think it's getting better. Oh, really? What do you do? They don't really know our business, and it's not your business to tell them.
Yeah.
Just say, they really don't want to know. They just want to know that you're okay. And then say, have you seen that new show? Change the topic.
I love it. I love it.
Be very careful with your energy. There's a certain amount of energy per day. Be careful how you spend it, and be careful who takes it away from you. But you're the one who chose it because you put yourself in that environment.
Absolutely.
I would say, hang out with Terry.
I love you, Reesa. Thank you. And you're so right. You're so right. If we take the moment to be more aware of our energy stores, we also are being more aware of what draws it out and what feeds it. And we are the sum of the 5 people we spend the most time with. That includes your TV shows.
Yes. Sometimes now during this situation, the only people I'm really engaging with is media. Oh, I'm very careful.
Oh, yeah.
I'm very careful.
We have to be.
And you can do it too. I don't care who you feel obligated and talk to your mommy. I don't care about who you're talking. I don't care who you bring up. Limit your time with them. And the people who really do not see your goodness or are jealous of you, all those people are in the category of get rid of, or if you must speak to them. So the bottom line is that you have a certain amount of energy. We both agree. Be very, very set boundaries and be very careful about it. I would say one of the biggest takeaways I've noticed in life.
Yeah. I agree.
People who want your success, other entrepreneurs who are happy when you're successful, they are your friends. The people who are jealous,
Yeah. Yeah. I agree completely, Reesa. That's a great last tip. It's an excellent point to leave our listeners on. Thank you for taking the time to be with us today. I cannot believe that we've already been together for almost an hour. It goes by so fast. So thank you very much. And listeners, until next time, we'll catch you later.